Neighbor tells you about the unstable man in the cul-de-sac who claims to have been abducted by aliens. And then there's the woman in town who claims to see Bigfoot all the time. Your boss, who you greatly admire, confides in you that he has started speaking with his wife daily when he gets home from work. She died 8 years ago. It's hard to believe this stuff, and you write these stories off as overactive imaginations. Are these people seeking attention, or are they a bit unstable? No matter what you think, if you're like me, you walk away wondering, what if that was true? The What If It's True podcast features stories by ordinary people like you and me. Something has happened to them, something so strange they are in agony unless they tell others. My name is Cameron Buckner, and the What If It's True podcast is available at whatifitstruepodcast.com and on all available podcast apps.
Welcome to Beast TV. What was that? You better get a fresh dip and buckle up. Welcome to Beast TV. And do what?
I just said welcome.
You know, we want to thank everyone that's in our chat room right now. We want to thank everyone that's watching us at a later date. And we just want to say how much we appreciate everyone tuning in. And as y'all can see, we have my friend Spencer with us tonight. Larry is on the road, so he's told me a little while ago he got caught in 2 traffic jams and he's not going to be able to make it to Texas in time to log on tonight. But Spencer is someone that came into our world a few years ago. And there's an old saying, be nice to the ones that you meet up climbing the ladder, because you may be seeing them again on your way back down. And that's how I feel about Spencer. Spencer is someone that he just to put it in real terms, he's a mentor of mine because of his. Let me blow a little smoke, Spencer.
We're getting deep off the get-go, huh?
Yeah. But Spencer is he's one of our main people that run our Facebook page. If you've got audio, he is always on top of it. So welcome, Spencer, to the show tonight.
Oh, thank you. I'm still looking for Larry. I mean, I expect some comments or heckling or something at some point. It'll either be him or Rodney, one or the other.
I was about to say Rodney be on here in a minute.
Yeah, give him a minute. There he is.
Yeah. We got close to 100 people in here now, almost 100 people. So, man, that's fantastic that we've just 100 people. And so I want to pose a question to the audience tonight. How would you feel if you bought a new house with acreage and you moved in there and all of a sudden you start finding Bigfoot evidence. What would you think? Now, for someone like Kane Michael that lives in the middle of the woods in a cabin, I mean, that's great stuff. He comes home from work every day and jumps out of his brand new car and he hits those woods. But what if you're someone like Spencer and you have a wife and two small little girls? Now, that's something to think about. It'd be pretty cool to be within an hour of a good research area. But how would you feel if you stepped out your door and you start finding tree manipulations? You can hear vocals at night. So, Spencer, tell us how you feel about this new property you're on.
Well, I mean, I love the place. This is my first time ever owning anything that had a significant amount of land to it. So I think I need to address, I need to say that, like, we didn't buy this place looking for boogers or anything. My wife doesn't care about it. She don't want to know anything about it. In fact, but anyway, whenever this house came up for sale, it was in the area that we were looking for and everything. And we came out here and walked the property, I don't know, a couple times before we actually made an offer on it or anything. And it's mostly forested. It's almost 30 acres right around the actual house itself, but it's out in the middle of the woods. It's way on back in the county, and it's hard to walk the land because the foresting around it is so thick and everything. There were a couple trails that were cut, I guess, for side-by-sides or ATVs or hunting or something like that. I put a few more in since I've been here. But whenever I first came out and walked around it, I saw one or two things that kind of made me pause and think. But I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. And I mean, it's the lay of the land and everything is incredible. But it's pretty much all woods except for the acre, maybe a hair over an acre right around my house. There's one other clearing back yonder about 300 yards away from the house that I put a garden in. Had to put up a heck of a fence, big fence, because I know the animals are going to get in it. But other than that, it's all woods. And to be honest, there's still 10, 12 acres that I haven't really walked much, because when summer comes and everything greens up and it gets all, chiggers and ticks and snakes and everything. And I'm in construction, so when summer comes, I try to find the AC every chance I get. I don't walk around the woods a whole lot whenever it's in the middle of summer. So I still haven't seen. I mean, I've seen it. I've walked through it, but it was just quickly. It was only a couple times. I haven't really explored it. But whenever I first saw the land, I didn't necessarily think that there was definitely anything here. Now, having said that, though, there's two fairly big hunt clubs that border my land. So there's really nobody there for 9 months out of the year or whatnot. And then it goes on to I think it's 100 and some acre tract of land that somebody out of state owns. So they're never here. And then it hits the river bottom down there. and that goes on up towards the Parkway, which is all federal land. So who knows?
Well, tell us about when you first started looking at this land, whenever you saw your first signs or clues that there might be these critters that are moving through the area.
It's hard to describe because trying to be someone like me that goes out alone a whole lot. I have a research partner, Anthony Kelly. He doesn't go with me on everything. I don't go with him on everything. He's got some of his own stuff that he looks into. Whenever we first actually moved in here, he's one of the only very few people that have come over here since I bought the place. But anyway, he came over. I showed him some things. He was like, yeah, that looks a little weird. And that kind of confirmed for me that, I need to pay attention to this or whatnot. And the first couple things I found, though, they were like 5-6 foot tall, kind of asterisk type things. And just looking at them, I mean, initially, I thought to myself that, like, that doesn't look natural, but I'm going to write it off and just see what happens because I need to be a little bit skeptical. I do a whole lot of things by myself. I need to be a lot skeptical. So I bounced off other people. But anyway, for the first few months that we were here, I will say that I went outside a lot at night, thinking maybe I might catch something, hear something, or whatnot. And the main thing that struck me, and we first moved in at the end of October, so it was just getting into winter time. It was really quiet, and I found very, very little game sign, like very little deer track or anything moving through here. And I hunt, and I had a couple game cameras out. I wasn't seeing anything. I caught a picture of a juvenile black bear within the first couple months that I was here. Hardly any deer, which just struck me as weird because we're so far out here and, just out in the middle of nowhere, got creeks running through it and everything. I just really expected to see a lot of deer. I didn't see anything, but it was very quiet at night and everything. And that I'm looking forward to this coming late fall and winter and see if it repeats itself. But I didn't hardly hear anything. And like I said, I had found a couple things that could possibly be structures, and I was keeping my eyes on them. Nothing happened. As I was walking around before I bought a side-by-side or anything, I was just walking the property, and I was looking for tracks and other stuff. And part of me was like, if I find anything, I'm not going to say anything to my family or whatnot. And then the other part of me was like, yeah, you need to say something. But I never did really find much that winter. I mean, it was spooky quiet. Very little animal movement, like I said, but just spooky quiet. I mean, you go outside at night and you didn't hear bugs, you didn't hear nothing. I mean, just dead quiet. And somewhere around February, I think it was, I got it all wrote down, but somewhere around February, everything started going back to what I think of as normal. I mean, normal animal sounds and bug sounds and everything. And I think it was about February. I was walking that day, and I found what could possibly be a track. I'm not saying it is for sure, but I found what possibly could be a track. I stopped and looked at it real good, and probably a week later, I started finding some other stuff that looked like possible stick manipulation. But it kind of threw me off because then I was starting to hear all the animals and the normal noise and everything. And, I was like, I didn't understand that because I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know what to make of it. And then I didn't really find anything I didn't find anything that really changed until a couple months ago, 2, maybe 3 months ago. I started finding a lot of stuff. I take that back. Back then, right whenever I found that track, it wasn't very long after that. I found what could possibly be a blind looking. It's on somebody else's property. Shouldn't have been there, but I was. And somebody else's property that borders mine, but they ain't ever there. And it's looking at my house. So then, after seeing that, and that gave me a lot of pause because I don't see any way that could be. I mean, it's manipulated. I don't know if it's manipulated by a human or something else, but it's not natural, in my opinion. I don't think anybody could look at it and think that's natural. And it kind of looks like a blind. And then there's only one other area that is kind of clear looking at my house, again, on the other person's property. And I went up in there and, man, I found another thing that looks like a blind. It looks smaller. It's smaller if it is, looking at my house. And like standing in them, you have a clear view of my house. There's only 2 places on my property you can do that from because the rest of the house is surrounded by woods and everything. And that gave me pause. Like I said, I sat there whenever I found the second one. I sat there for a few minutes looking at my house from it, and I thought to myself, I was like, man, I don't know if this is, maybe it's me reading too much into it. I don't know if is what I'm thinking it is, but I don't know. Made me think about it because I got 2 little kids and dogs and everything. And then, like I said, I didn't really find much until about 3 months ago, I guess. I started finding more and more stuff, and some of the stuff is like, again, I just don't know. I just don't know. I mean, to me, I go back and forth in my head. Is it real? Is it real manipulation? Because I have other areas around here where I found stuff that, to me, there's no doubt that, it's not natural. It's manipulation. And I think it's boogers because I just don't know a whole lot of people that go that far back in on some of these areas I'm going to, but and I see similarities. So I don't know. And then I caught a recording. I guess that was within the first 3-4 months. I caught a recording, and I do a lot of audio stuff. And looking at it on the spectrograph, it seems like a booger to me. And like I said, I've found a couple things that look like tracks to me, but I have bear, so you have to be careful with that. I mean, bear tracks and booger tracks, it's, you got to really look into it and everything. I don't know what else to say. A lot has happened in the past few months. That's really made me think maybe there's something here. Whereas before I was like questioning it. I've heard a lot of stuff here lately. I've seen a lot of stuff here lately that makes me think maybe it is, but that's just my interpretation of it. I don't know for a fact. I'd love to get people that are a whole lot more experienced than me to look at it and tell me what they think. I can tell you that my dogs they're normally, 9 out of 10 times they're normally fine, but there's been a couple times where, go to let them out to use the bathroom at night before I go to bed or whatnot, and they hardly go off the deck. And my female, she's a little bit protective. Her hackles will raise up on the back of her, and she'll just like kind of stare and do this low growl. But every time I look with a flashlight or a thermal, I don't see anything. So I don't know.
One thing that I really appreciate about Spencer, and y'all have heard him say this a half a dozen times already, and you'll hear it whenever we play some of the videos, is Spencer will always say, I don't know. And that's something that I can really appreciate, because so many times people go out in the woods and they've got Bigfoot on the brain, and they see something and they don't start breaking down the evidence and letting the evidence speak for itself. And whenever Spencer goes, he's got a list of troubleshooting guides in his head, and he will go through that list and start eliminating what it could be. And then when he gets down to there's no simple explanation, he'll say, I don't know. And those are the kind of people that I really like surrounding myself by. We had Hilton ask a question a while ago, and I had even thought of this. This is a great question. But were you able to speak to the previous owners of this property and find out any type of intel?
Yeah. I spoke to them by myself. My wife wasn't with me. She was at work, and her mom was watching the girls. And I came up here I think I dropped off the check because he was selling me the lawnmower that he already had for this piece of land as a riding mower, and I didn't have one. And anyway, I came up here and I was talking to him, and he's a hunter too. And I was asking him, I said, you see much around here? And he's like, oh, yeah, few decent sized deer. And I was like, well, how about bear? Because I knew where I am in southwestern Virginia, there is a bunch of black bear. I mean, we have them everywhere. We have bear, raccoon, turkey, deer, rabbit, coyotes everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere. And it's nothing to drive to work in the morning and see a bear crossing the road. They're everywhere. And I asked him, I said, how about bear? He said, oh, yeah. He said, my first picture, I caught was the backside of a large bear. And I'm looking around the land, and that was probably the third time I'd been up here. And I'm looking around, and he's talking to me, and he says, you want me to show you where a good hunting spot is? I said, yeah. And he walked me back away from the house, probably, I don't know, 500 yards or so. And he's like, I had a ladder stand set up right here in the tree. And he's like, this is a really good spot. He said, I've seen a lot of big stuff move through here. And I said, bear? And expect him to say, yeah. And he's like, well, yeah. He said, but just a lot of big stuff. He said, for whatever reason, it moves back through here. And I said, well, what else is there? And he said, I don't know. And he said, but I've seen a lot of big stuff, bear and deer and everything else move through here. It was just the way they said it. I was like, all right, maybe. And it should also, this house is only, the house I'm at now is only, I think it's 12, might be 13 or 14 years old. It's somewhere right in there. The first owner was here for 6, 7 years, and then the other guy was here for 6, 7 years, something like that. And I'll tell you one more thing. My neighbor, I only have one neighbor. We are 3/4 of a mile thereabout off the main road. Like coming from the main road up to my house, the driveway is a little bit less than 3/4 of a mile long. And I have one other neighbor on this road. And I've stopped and talked to him a couple times, not a whole lot, but a couple times. And I was asking him about if he had a tractor to grade the driveway, and he said no, he always hires somebody. So I hired somebody because the driveway was tore up. But anyway, I got talking to him, and he hunts a lot. And I told him, I said, kind of playing dumb, kind of don't hold it against me. I wasn't being 100% honest. I didn't tell him everything like, hey, I look into Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I told him, I said, I've heard a couple sounds coming from the woods back there. And the very first thing he said, with no assistance, without me pushing anything, that's all I said. I've heard a couple sounds coming from the woods back there. They didn't sound like anything I knew. He was like, maybe it's Bigfoot. And man, whenever he said that, you could knock me over with a feather. I don't know if he was joking. I don't know if he was just yanking my chain. I don't know. But whenever he said that, I was like, holy cow. I mean, maybe I am on to something. I don't know.
Wow. Wow.
That I mean, I don't read more into it than what it is. I mean, he might have just been joking. I don't know. I just know that, the house is relatively new as far as houses go. There's been a couple people here. I can tell you that driving around the land, the more I see the land going through the seasons, it's a whole lot easier to see in the wintertime whenever the leaves ain't on the trees and everything. And walking on my land and sometimes on the other people's land on the edge of it, there are, for example, there are hills going down to two creek beds that are on my property. Both of them are fairly dried up. The one's got a natural spring on it, so there's like a little trickle coming out of that one. The other one only has water in it whenever it rains, but they go down to a much bigger creek that goes over to a river about 2 miles away from me. I don't think it's even that far, about a mile and a half. But on those hills, now again, this land, it's got woods everywhere, and there's quartz rocks sticking up everywhere, and I mean huge quartz everywhere. I've never seen a parcel of land with so much quartz just coming out of the ground everywhere. So that gets into electromagnetic stuff and other stuff that I don't know enough about to really talk about, so I'm not going to. But anyway, there are trees on the hillside, like going downhill. There's a tree going towards those creeks. There are several. I mean, probably, I don't even know, more than 4 or 5. There are trees that have these big quartz rocks. I mean, big, stacked all the way around the base of the tree. And, just being logical, I could see if someone cleared a field or something moving stones out of the way. But I mean, this stuff's in the middle of the woods. And, I'm looking at it. I even told my wife, I'm like, that's not natural. I mean, I don't know how a rock rolls downhill and then goes back up against a tree. But anyway, and even she had to agree with me on that one, which is, shit. I don't win a whole lot of conversations with her, but she agreed on that one. So I don't know. I think maybe it's something, but again, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to make of it.
Wow, I didn't realize you had so much quartz.
A ton, a ton.
Uh,
I can't mow the lawn without messing up a lawnmower blade.
um, I'm going to ask one question here that Ruger just put up, and Ruger Ridge asked, "Have you found any animal kills or bones?"
The only thing I found so far is I found a couple turtle shells, which, I mean, if you're into the Bigfoot thing, I would say it was weird that the bottom of the turtle shells was ripped off, like the bottom of them. So it was just the shell. And I found a couple deer skeletons, but not like anything really unusual. I mean, I haven't found a pile of bones somewhere,
Right.
stuff like that. I haven't found anything like that.
All right. I tell you, we've got a lot of material to cover tonight. So if you want to, Spencer, I'll go ahead and pull up these pictures, and we will let you go through each of them individually and give us the backstory on
Okay.
them. Let me scoot it back. There we go.
Okay. So the one on the left-hand side of the screen with my boot beside it, that's the first possible track that I found here. And I know it's hard to see in the picture. The pictures don't do it justice, just like recording audio. It doesn't do it justice. You have to be there. You have to see it. It's the way the light's coming into the camera and everything. To me, it seemed like a legitimate track, especially as wide as the heel is. Now, I'm not a track person. I'm not a tracking expert or anything. I found one other partial track that might go along with that one. I will say that on both of them, I don't know if this is indicative of Bigfoot or not, but on both of them, the heel was deeper than the toes. It looked like the toes had dug in, like to grab, but the heel was deeper. And the heel was almost as wide as the front of the foot. But to me, where the toes are. But to me, it looked like a track. I took a picture of it. It was crossing one of the roads. You have to understand that there is so much leaf litter here in the fall and in the winter that I'm not a very good tracker to start out with. And the whole thing that caught my attention was, like, you can see from the picture, that's without me messing with it, without me pulling any leaves out of it or whatnot. I looked down and saw what looks like a track in bare dirt, and there's all those leaves around it. I can't explain that. I don't know, but it looked like a track to me. And then I said, I saw another partial that looked like a track about 3 feet away, and that thing is only 8.5 inches long, and it's almost 4 inches wide. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I think that it's a possible track, but I have bear here, and I'm not good enough to look at it and say definitively what it is. The one on the right, the kind of square formation, some of the sticks are over, some of the sticks are under, and it was right beside another one. Well, it was about 15 feet away from another one that was kind of done in a triangle. And I had that was in the early spring, I believe, whenever I found that. And that one and the triangle one, I saw it while I was driving through there one afternoon, and I had just been up in that area like the day or the day before that before. And I was over there, and I can't swear to it, but I mean, I was right there at that spot. I think I would have seen them the day or the 2 days before. And it blew my mind whenever I saw them. I mean, I stood there for a few minutes because to me, again, you just don't see a lot of stuff falling naturally that way. I mean, maybe I'm wrong on it, but so I took pictures of it and started documenting. I try to follow Kane, Michael, and Eric Tipton's advice, and I try to record everything. I don't do the greatest job at it. I could probably do a whole lot better, but I'll try. And it really stuck out to me whenever I saw those things. And it wasn't maybe a week longer whenever I started finding some other stuff on the property.
Okay, we'll move to the next slide.
Yeah, that's just a picture of one of the smaller bears on the land. Just trying to give reference and saying, hey, we got a whole lot of black bear here, so I got to be careful whenever I'm looking at anything. That's one of the bigger bears. That's a female. Looking at the ears and the length of the neck and everything, I believe that's female. She's fairly decent size. I think she's probably between 250 and 300 pounds. She's a big one.
Yeah.
That is a break that is a twist break. And I've seen probably, I would have to say that majority of the breaks I've seen that are suspicious aren't necessarily twisted, in my opinion. But that one obviously is. And I found that I can't remember exactly. I think it's in February. This was whenever I was actually exploring a whole lot of my land and bordering on the neighbor's land. And that one's bordering on the neighbor's land. And right there where I found that at, I didn't find anything for months afterwards until just a few months ago. And right there in that area, I found a whole lot of stuff. Again, not saying that it is definitively something, but it stuck out to me, whenever I found it. And then I found a lot of stuff in that area that could possibly be something since then.
Yeah, that's interesting. Tell us about the twist on it.
Okay, so the break twist is almost 6 feet off the ground. Now you have to keep in mind that this is coming out of winter, like right at the end of winter. We got snowed on again afterwards, so you can't necessarily call it the end of winter. And I will say that I've personally seen where snow load can break a tree, and I've seen where damage to a tree can let water inside of it and it turn to ice and then pop the tree and break it. This one of the things that stuck out to me about it, and I don't know if everybody can see, but the way that the branch is caught up on the other tree, so somehow it twisted and fell. And those branches, the smaller branches there on the very end of it, they're a lot longer than the picture shows. But one of them is going over the branch of another tree, and the other one is under it. To me, it just seemed odd. As far as the twist goes, it's almost 100% a clean break. It's not 100%, but almost. and then it's like it's rolled down. So it's almost like it was broke almost clean and then rolled down a few inches. The actual twist part is probably 4 or 5 inches in length. So it was kind of snapped and rolled. And if you look at the way that's caught up on the other tree, to me in my head, I could see something snapping and then rolling it to manipulate it to get it caught up on the other tree. I'm not saying that's exactly what it is, but that's what it looks like to me. And I think most people would think that if they saw it in person.
That's I tell you, I have really learned a lot from Eric Tipton about twist and what to look for, even to his theory on whether a Bigfoot is dominant right-handed or left-handed. So I think things like that give us so many clues. And I think that's why it's important to document everything you see, even if it don't even seem important at the time. Okay, these two pictures here, please go into much detail.
All right. So the picture on the right is the very first thing that I saw on this property that I was like, that doesn't really look natural. That might be a manipulation. In fact, I saw that the second time we were here, whenever I actually walked through the woods a little bit. The picture on the left is how it looks now. So I'm not claiming that it is anything, but the stick, if you look at the picture on the right, you can see kind of the X. The picture on the left, both of them are now pointing in the same direction. So it isn't X anymore. It's two sticks, and it's the same stick. It's the same stick. Two of them are now pointing in the same direction. And I hope I don't give nothing away with this. I'm not trying to, but I've listened to other people talk to me about measuring certain aspects and everything. So not only did the one stick that formed part of the X, not only did it go back and point in the same direction as the other stick now, but it's moved back about 10 inches or so. And it's just enough to give it leverage for it to stay like that, which in my head is kind of crazy because we get some extreme winds here. I mean, my kid's trampoline picked up and moved, like 100 feet. We get extreme winds up here on this hilltop, and somehow that X stayed there for 7, 8 months, 9 months, and it just moved about a month ago. And I was super excited whenever I found that. Again, don't know if it is anything, but that's one of the first times I've seen something move. And then I found something else that I made a video about. That was the second structure I found. I made a video about that because there was definitely something added to it. I don't know how it happened, but there was definitely something added to it. This is the same thing, but one, and in the picture on the left, I'm standing a little bit closer. It's because I'm holding the branch with leaves up so you can see it, because that branch kind of hangs down over a little bit and you can't see it if I'm standing back where I was when I took the first picture, just so you know.
Okay, and we got one last set of pictures.
All right. The one on my left, the one on the left of the screen, I cannot find that thing again. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I can't find it again. I know it was here. It was either on my property or it was on one of the neighbors' properties. I'm thinking it was right on the edge. I took a picture of it whenever I found it. It was back in the shortly after we moved in here. I cannot find it now. If it's there, I'm either walking right past it or it's changed and I just don't recognize it anymore. I don't know what to say about it. I took a picture of it because, as you can obviously see, the one whole large tree is bent over in behind it, and then there's other stuff holding it in. The one on the right is actually from a place that's not that far from here. I've been back there twice since then. I haven't seen anything change. That's a few miles away from here. Had my girls with me at the time. I believe that was right whenever we first moved in here too. I haven't seen anything change since then. That structure is mostly still there. Maybe some stuff is missing, but I didn't take as many notes back then as I am now, that I'm really like paying attention to stuff that's happening around me. So I don't know what to say about it. But again, it just struck me, it doesn't look natural. And not saying what it is, but it just doesn't look natural to me. It looks manipulated, someone or something, to me.
Those are great signs. And like I said earlier, it might be all right if you were the only one living there, but having a wife and two little girls, it would cause me for concern on that. And we've had a couple of questions that popped up going through the pictures, and some people wanted to know, are there water sources nearby?
Yeah. There's a creek that's probably only, it might be 14, 15 foot at its widest. That's out by the road. So about 3/4 of a mile away from me. It's fairly deep and it runs pretty strong. I mean, it's got a good current on it, and it's coming off of a river called the Blackwater River that's a little bit less than 2 miles away from me. So the creek feeds off that. Now I'm up on a mountaintop, up on a hill, so everything goes downhill from here, and there's not a whole lot of, like, until you get out to the road where the land goes downhill. That's where you see the creek on the other side of the road or whatnot. So there's not a whole lot of moving water on my property unless it rains. But yeah, there's a fairly decent river and a decent sized creek near me.
What about ginseng?
I wouldn't know. I look for mushrooms, not ginseng. I don't know.
12 Pearls ask, any recurring dreams?
I don't think so. Other than, I don't think so.
Okay. We've got some videos that we would like to share that Spencer has taken in the field. And for any of us, whether you're a seasoned searcher or not, this is one of the things that I really appreciate about Spencer, how he talks to himself out in the field and is asking questions and going through his own protocols of trying to dismiss that it is or could be
Wait,
Bigfoot related.
can I say one thing, Mark? One thing
Sure.
before you do this. I forgot about this. Anthony just reminded me. He's in chat. My neighbor has a pond that he said it was natural. He just made it a whole lot bigger. My neighbor has a pond that's about a half an acre, and it does have fish in it. So that goes into the water source thing. Just wanted to clear that up.
Absolutely. And, a water source could be for water, or it also could be to bushwhack animals that could come up there to drink water. So water source, that's why we kind of try to stick to water sources, because they can be fruitful areas. Okay, we're going to play this first video, and then after we play it, we'll let Spencer elaborate on it.
This is new. All right, see these two underneath this log? Piece of a log anyway. It's underneath there. This one is held down right there. Anyway, the log fell from right there. There's a piece, there's a piece. Here's a piece over here. I don't know, but like, there's a tree up there that's like bowed. There's this right beside it. I mean, there's that, whatever that is. I mean, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's all from wind. I don't know. But I put a camera, a game camera, on a tree right there. I put a game camera out there 5 days ago. Like I said, I don't know. Just sharing.
I don't know.
I don't.
You don't know how much that's refreshing to hear. Is if you've whittled everything down and you've got no explanation to say, I don't know. And that's what we should say.
And I forget exactly when I kind of got into this stuff. I think I'm getting on 5 years now, but I've been out with some people in this field that, I mean, they know more than I'll ever know. They've forgotten more than I'll ever know. That's what I meant to say. But, and they tell me stuff, and I try to understand it and comprehend it and apply it and everything. But I mean, I'm just not as smart as them. But I gotta say, I mean, I've seen stuff a time or two that 1000% I believe is boogers. I've seen tracks that there's no doubt in my mind it could be anything else. I've had stuff thrown while we were doing stuff. I've had replies from vocals. I've heard what is, in my opinion, definite absolute knocks. Had trees pushed over. I've seen stuff move in the woods a couple times now. But I'm always going to say I don't know, because until I see it, 100% get a clear look at it or whatever, I'm always going to say I don't know. And I don't mean to come off as that much of a skeptic, because truth is I'm not. But I've got to be really skeptical because I do a lot of stuff by myself, and I've got nothing to back up anything I say other than the pictures and videos and my character to base it on, so I'm gonna keep saying I don't know until something happens where I'm like, yeah, that was Bigfoot and I saw it with my own eyes. And
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just great. And I think you answered Night Wolf's question about the tree knocks in that little comment.
Well, let me tell you, almost, I can't say every night, but probably 3-4 nights out of the week here. Now, again, I told y'all there's hunting leases on the edge of my property. Okay. So I have almost 30 acres. And then the one hunting lease is 100 and some acres. The other one's like 80 or 90. So it's a big parcel of land, right? And probably 3-4 nights out of the week, the time varies, but it's normally within about an hour to an hour and a half of sunset, because the sun goes down behind the trees up here because I'm on a mountaintop. So the sun goes down behind the trees and it'll start to get a little bit dark, but it's not going to be sunset for another hour. You know what I mean? And I hear a lot of times, I hear what is either gunshots or knocks coming from that area, and in my mind, I'm like, it's nowhere near hunting season. I mean, it does all year long. And I can't explain that part of it because, I'm one of these people that thinks that these things, if they are around, they rotate the areas. They don't necessarily stay there the whole time. But maybe I'm wrong on that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, but I hear stuff and it's hard for me to try and get a recording. I'll sit out there with my phone ready for 30 minutes trying to record the thing. And as soon as I put my phone down, something will happen. Or that'll be the night where nothing happens. And the next night I'll be out there without my phone, lighting up the grill or whatnot. And I'll hear 1, 2. And a lot of times, I mean, it's just how it is. A lot of times it sounds like it'll be the 1, 2 coming from over this way. And then another 1 or 3, 4, 5 come from this way. And I'm like, is this everybody around me just, sighting in rifles and wasting ammo all year long? Maybe, but it happens all the time. And I posted a video about it on the Beast page not that long ago. And I took the video down because somebody asked me, like, how can you, how do you know? Do you have a breakdown where you can show that it's not gunshots? And the truth is, I mean, I look at audio all the time on the spectrograph, and unless a gunshot is really close where it makes a very distinctive signature on the spectrograph, a gunshot and a really loud knock, it just looks like a straight line on the spectrograph, at least to me, if it's got any distance to it anyway. And it's just hard to determine, and you can't say for certain what it is, what it isn't. So I'm more content to just take it down and like keep it in my head and not necessarily try to explain it, because I can't really 100% explain it. I can't say what it is definitively one way or the other.
Just and I know exactly what you're saying about knocks and gunshots on the spectrogram. All you see is a spike, and there's no way to get any type of individual signatures in between them. Okay, I'm gonna pull up this next video clip of you out in the field, and we will let you elaborate on it after we watch it.
Okay.
All right. This, I don't even want to record this. I don't, because This wasn't here. Okay. All right. There's this inside of here. Goes over there. I do not know what that is. I don't know what any of this is. I'm hoping somebody else can get something out of this. I don't know. I don't know if that's part of it or not. I have no idea. I do not know what I'm doing here. What the I don't even. All right. See that? So this branch is laying up there, right? It's I don't know. Yeah, that ain't from here. I mean, maybe. I guess maybe this could have fallen. This could have fallen. And then this landed on top of it. But, I mean, like how this goes out that way, I don't know. It would have had to have fallen, like, in at an angle to get in there. I guess. I don't know. I don't know. And this is right by the thing that I took pictures of. This thing. I know that's not natural. There's no way in hell that that's natural. I don't know. I'm looking around. I don't see anything else. All of this has happened in the past, I don't know, week or so. I don't know.
It just tickles me that you find this stuff that you can't explain and you don't even want to show it. I mean, that happens to all of us because you just know people are going to come out of the woodwork just blasting you.
Well, and that's why I don't post it. I was looking for stuff like to send to you because I'm like, I don't know what I should send about this place because I've already found normally in my experience, if I go out to, like, say, for example, LBL, right? When Bama and I found the pond thing, and there was a bunch of stuff right around there. We went back in the woods before anybody else got there, just me and Bama. We went back in there and we looked around that pond. We found probably, I don't know, you could get him to answer on this to make sure I'm not wrong, but we found probably 6, 7, maybe 8 different things that looked suspicious. Not saying that they're all definitely something, but 6, 7, 8 things like around that pond, right? In my experience, when you find stuff, it's all in one area and it kind of points to another area. And if you go up there 300-400 yards, 500 yards, you might find something else. You don't really find it spread out. Well, whenever I've gotten here, I mean, I've found stuff all over the place to the point where, you know, it almost makes me like, am I reading too much into this? If I post all this stuff, you know, people are going to be like, man, ain't no way coming from like a little, you know, 27-acre parcel of land. But I mean, this is what I'm finding. So I recorded, I take pictures of it. And truth be told, I didn't have that much else to like send for like stuff around my land as far as physical manipulation goes, because I ain't been here even a year yet. So that's what I sent. I mean, this is what I'm finding, but I don't necessarily want to post it and claim that it is anything. That's exactly right, Bam. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, when y'all found that pond, did y'all know that was the place of the 13 house?
No, no. In
Oh.
fact, Bama found the pond. Bama found the pond. I was going in a different way. I think he saw opening or whatnot, and he stuck his head in right there and said, "Hey, I think there's a pond here." And we both went over there. We looked all around that area, but no, we didn't know about the 13 house. We didn't know that it wasn't or wasn't the place. We didn't even know about it. And we were trying to find the place that Larry and Debbie had sent us on the GPS. And I'm pretty sure, knowing Larry now, that he did that on purpose just to get us lost in the middle of the woods. I'm pretty sure he was hoping we would just wander out in the middle of the woods and be lost, and he wouldn't have to mess with us. But no, we didn't know that was the spot.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, we've got one last video to look at that you sent us, and we'll play it now.
So I found this. Look how this is under. This is over. What is that? Looks like a blind pulling this tree down. Now, want to see what's unnerving about the blind? There's my house. So, there's something here that potentially a Sasquatch could sit behind and observe my house. Had to walk.
What did you think when you saw that blind so close to your house?
I don't know it is a blind. If you could see it in person, it's probably close to 15 foot around. There are two trees, two saplings that are bent over and they're in the ground. I think there's something laying on the one, the other one is in the ground. And then there are two saplings that are bent over, holding those down like at the bow, and those are twisted together. The very first thing where I was going, this one's in and this one's over and whatnot, those are holding the two saplings down. And there were other branches that were up at the very front of it. I mean, it's hard to get a good video of it because, you know, I got to stand back a little ways to do it, and then I wouldn't be able to point out stuff. But when I first saw it and I looked at it, I was like, that looks like manipulation. The more I looked at it, I was like, that looks like a blind. Like if you put branches or something on top of that, that would be a blind. And then I looked up and I saw my house, and there's only two spots on my land that has a clear shot of my house. That's one of them. And then I found a very similar thing, but smaller, over on the opening. But I was looking for it. I was looking to see if there was a blind over there. So, you know, maybe that part's in my head, but it looks very similar. But when I looked up and saw my house, and it dawned on me that I think that this is potentially a blind, and it's looking right at the deck, because from the side of my house that's looking at my back door and my front door and the side deck is right there. Whenever that dawned on me, man, a chill went down my spine.
Yeah.
because I got kids and I got dogs. And I will say that one, that did scare me a little bit, because that, to me, that's a blind. The manipulation, the way that the saplings are twisted together to hold down the other ones, almost kind of like an igloo type structure. The way that it is, I know for a fact it's not natural. Either now, people hunt around here. Either a hunter made him a really, really big blind on that hill, or it's something else. But either way, it's looking at my house. And that's, that's whenever all the fun and jokes and everything go out the window.
Yeah.
At that point, it's not funny anymore. It's like, okay, I need to take this a little bit serious now.
Yeah.
Because the other people that lived here before me, they had a small kid too, and the kid was only a couple years old whenever they moved from here. And there's a lot of stuff with boogers and kids, and I don't take no chances on that. In fact, just to show that I don't take no chances on that, to the potential boogers or whatever, if they are there, I set up a target right there about 50, 60 feet in front of that thing, and I dotted a couple I's, with a 243 and a 6.5 from my deck, just to be like, hey, I hit this thing right here, from back there. I got an open field from right there. I can hit what I'm aiming at right there.
Yeah. That's really close to your house. Let's see. I saw Diane ask a great question, and she said, Spencer, do you hear a lot of limb breaking because your house is so close to the woods?
Since I've been here, only 2, maybe 3 times have I heard either a large branch break or a tree fall over. And it's, again, where that blind is, that's where I've heard a lot of the potential possible knocks and everything come from that area. I thought I saw something move over there one time, looked through the thermal for it, didn't see anything. I've heard a couple big branches or trees pushed over right there. And then I would go out and look right over there and see if I see anything laying on the ground like the next day or whatnot. I haven't found anything, but only 2 or 3 times. I do not hear a lot of branch breaks or anything like that.
I was looking for a question. No, it's not Bama's. Okay. John Hall asked, Spencer, any way to block the full view near your house?
Nah, it's on somebody else's land. That blind is right where somebody else's land starts. And I can't really go up there and do anything with it. It's not my land.
Yeah.
I could, I suppose I could put some fast growing trees or whatnot on my edge of the property right there that would block it. But I ain't even been in here a year yet, y'all. I'm only just now coming up on 9 months or something.
Okay. We got one last thing to share with everyone, and you have captured some audio. And these are 3 separate clips and I put them together, and we're going to play them 5 times. I just want to point out something. If you look at this spectrogram and the last howl, you hear an owl right in the middle of it. And the suspected booger howl is much more distant. So the owl is in the foreground.
Yeah.
But if you look at that, now this is what kind of analyst Spencer is to be able to catch that, because that owl really drowns it out. But you can see the same frequency signature on that distant howl. And that's an awesome catch, Spencer.
I mean, I don't know. It's, the signature. I don't know. I say I don't know a lot. The signature is not as clear as I would like to see, to be able to say, like, hey, I definitely think this is some of the stuff that we've captured in Kentucky or LBL, is really clear. You can look at it, you can see, and I think if you're being reasonable, you can say that, that definitely looks like a booger. This one, I believe possibly it is. The owl capture in the middle of it, and to me, it doesn't look like a atypical owl signature. Normally an owl has got more of a V formation, and you can see this one comes up almost straight and then goes off at an angle. I don't know, but that was I believe that one was at 1:30 or 2 a.m. I wasn't awake. I wasn't sitting outside whenever that happened, so I didn't hear it with my own ears. And a lot of times, whenever you hear it in person, again, it's much different than the recording. Y'all, whenever you're judging somebody's recordings and you're just seeing the audio on a spectrograph or just hearing the recording, I can assure you that in person, most of the time, it is much more vivid than what you can see on the spectrograph or hear in somebody's recording. I mean, I've been there firsthand, and some of the stuff that sounded like a damn dinosaur yelling a couple hundred yards away comes out faint on the recorder for whatever reason. I can't explain it. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that if you do it in person, a lot of times there's a very stark difference compared to what you see whenever somebody is showing you a recording. And that's why you have to learn to use the spectrograph and fall back on what typical vocal signatures look like for indigenous animals in that area. To me, this looks like a booger. It sounds like a booger. I'm not saying that it 100% is, but when I take it in conjunction with the other stuff I've found, I believe that it is.
I would agree, and I think that you've answered Papa C's question about how loud were those to your ears. And Spencer is awesome at setting out recorders and going back and reviewing the audio second by second. And you have to get inside your bubble to be able to do that. Because, I mean, you can, if you're just looking at the spectrogram, you can easily miss something that's in there.
You're gonna miss stuff.
You're going to miss stuff. If anybody has any questions, if you will put them in all caps, we'll pop them up here and see if Spencer can answer your question or say, I don't know.
I'm going to say, I don't know. Don't even write the question. I don't know. I'm just filling material. Larry was traveling tonight.
I know that I'm planning on coming up there, and we're gonna go out. And Spencer is one of these guys that when you go out in the field with him for 2 or 3 days at a time, and you're sort of living off the land, basically everything that you brought in, because you're so far away from your vehicles. He is just a wealth of knowledge. And I learned from Spencer asking questions. And because Spencer has great questions, and I just sit back and just absorb it. Now, Donald asked, have you ever gotten any eye shine beyond the blind? Have you seen any eye shine whatsoever up there?
Well, I don't know. Not from the blind. Not from the blind. The blind is probably a little bit over 200 yards from the deck. And even with my spotlight, now in the winter, I can get some ambient light over in that area. But like as soon as leaves come up, you can't even see that blind. You can't see it. In the winter, I know where the area is. And I've had my wife go out there and stand on the deck so I could see if I could see her from the blind. And I could see her. But no, I've not seen eye shine over there. I've seen stuff reflect further away in the woods. I put some as soon as I got the side by side and I was driving around, I put some really, really bright lights on the side by side. In fact, I've got a Sasquatch button on my side by side now, and that turns on the sideway lights so I can see off to the sides while I'm driving around and everything. And I've seen some reflections. I can't say for a fact that it's eye shine, and I definitely can't say what it is. And one time it was a little bit orangish, but I mean, depending on the way that the light hits it and what type of light it is, it's possible it could do that to deer or coyote or raccoon or anything else. So I don't know. It was just like a real quick glimpse of it, but I haven't seen any eye shine that I know of.
Yeah. Okay. Matt from Central Florida Bigfoot asked if I could play for Spencer some audio that he captured, and I probably can't find it. I'll have it on a different drive map, but what I will do is I will find it and I will send it to Spencer. 12 Pearls asks, Spencer, as you discover more potential evidence, how are you coping with it each night?
It did no different than anything else, really. I mean, in my opinion, I grew up camping out and doing wilderness survival and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I've probably been in the woods as much as I've slept in a house at night, at least until the past several years since I had kids and everything. And in my opinion, if these things wanted you, they'd get you. I mean, there'd be a whole lot more missing people and everything. And I pay special attention to my kids. I'm not gonna lie on that. I'm even during the day, if I'm not out there, somebody has to be out there watching them. And and my kids are, now they're 9 and 7. Whenever I was 9 and 7, I was roaming the neighborhoods and everything and wandering through the woods and all that kind of stuff. I don't let them, and it's not necessarily because of the possible boogers. I mean, that's part of it. But I will say that when they go outside, it's on my mind. I keep an eye on them. Other than that, though, I mean, I treat it like everything. The other night, it was just like a week and a half ago. I let my dogs out at night. They came back in. I was standing out there checking Facebook or something on my phone because y'all that are friends with me know that I'm on Facebook all the daggone time. But anyway, I was staying out there. It was probably 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I reached up and turned the porch lights on. There's an outside switch to turn the front porch lights on. I reached up and turned the porch lights on. And it wasn't 5 seconds after I did that. I heard clack, 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 3 times coming from the woods and not far away. I mean, like maybe 100 yards over to my left this time instead of where the blind is. And it was loud. It was pronounced. And I stood there for a second, like staring at it, like, I don't believe this. And I said, hey, I'm going to bed. And I reached up and turned the lights back off and walked inside the house. But I mean, I treat it like it's, because I'm not 100% sure it is anything. I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know.
Okay. Let's see. Can Squatch said he mentioned getting vocals replies. Was Barry Browning at your place making calls? That Barry Browning.
That Barry Browning can make a call.
He make a call.
He can make a call. I don't do calls here.
No, I wouldn't either. Sandy asked, Spencer, have you heard talking or mumbling?
No, ma'am. Not that I know of.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And let's see. Hilton has another question. Time for that question. Seen or heard any other strange things out there?
Other than there are mounds in the ground out in the woods that have quartz piled up on them. And I would say it looks like, like graves, but whenever I've seen graves, like I've seen like slave graves and like other graves where it used to be family land, and you're talking like 100 years ago or whatnot, or 150 years ago. Normally the graves are like sunken in. I guess that's where the body was buried or the casket was, and it eroded and the ground sunk in right there. I see the opposite. I see like these mounds, and a lot of times they have these quartz rocks on top of them. But other than that, and the quartz being stacked around the trees, no, not really. I can tell you that there's more different kinds of mushrooms, fungi, and different types of plants here than I've seen in one small area, like going up the grade, running beside the creek bed. I've seen a lot of different things that I wouldn't expect to see here other than that. But no, nothing really strange yet. I haven't been here even a year yet, so I don't know.
Okay. I have a question.
Another one?
Another one that maybe kind of a final thought question, but what advice or direction you would steer someone in if they are having what they believe Bigfoot activity on their property?
I ain't the right person to ask about that, but I can tell you that I've talked to a person around here that I don't want to get into the details because somebody else is actually another person in my area that's into the Bigfoot thing got invited over there to look at it, and he sent me no, I take that back. They sent me, the actual people sent me some photos of what had happened to their animals, and it ain't pretty. You don't want to see it. He told me that he told them to put up game cameras, outside lights, and to sprinkle sulfur, I think it was, like powdered sulfur around the land. And I think they had one or two more incidents, and then it went away after that. Now, you could read that as maybe the lights and the game cameras and the sulfur did something. You could read that as maybe this thing just moved on to somewhere else. If it was something, I'm going to tell you by the pictures that I saw, I don't know anything natural that would do that. Not really, but maybe, possibly. I don't know. But if I was concerned, I would move. I mean, if I was concerned, if I had a family, if I had kids, and I was concerned, I would move. I mean, to hell with the cost or what anybody thinks or questions people would ask. If I was concerned about it, I would move. I'm not particularly concerned. I'm not 100% convinced that's what's happening here. I mean, maybe it is, high likelihood, but in my mind anyway. But I would move if I was concerned about it. I wouldn't take half measures. If I thought that my family or my well-being was in question, I would do what anybody I think should do and get out of there. But again, y'all, I really don't think that these things are just snatching up people. I really don't. I mean, livestock, maybe every once in a while in the winter when it's cold out and times get hard or something like that, maybe some chickens or animal feed or whatever, because I do believe that they're, they take advantage of any situation they can. I think you would too if you were, living out in the woods off the land. But I don't think that these things are a serious major threat to us most of the time. Maybe every once in a while, but not most of the time. And I think you should be cautious about it. And I do think that for whatever reason, they tend to avoid game cameras and lights. So, I mean, maybe that's something you would look into. But if I was really concerned, I would move. That's my advice.
Sorry about that. I got Bradley Hatcher wearing me out. He's enjoying this show tonight.
Hey, Brad.
Okay. Let's see. We got time for one last question. And this is from Bama Bigfoot. Any knocks on the house or window taps?
When we first moved in here, within the first month or so, I did. I woke up. We have my bedroom is on the far corner of the house, and we have a solar spotlight that comes on if anything moves. It's motion activated. And we have some really big windows in the bedroom, a couple big windows. There's no one around, so it's all fine. But anyway, the light would come on quite a bit. And after seeing some stuff around here in the first month, I thought to myself, hey, let's turn the light on, excuse me. And anyway, once or twice in that first month, I woke up to a loud bang noise. I'm not sure. I mean, it woke me out of sleep, so I can't say exactly what it was. I thought it was something that maybe hit the house. I went outside and looked for oily prints and all that stuff. I didn't see anything. I didn't see any tracks. So I don't know. Could have been, but probably not.
Well, I tell you, it's been a joy to have you on here, Spencer. You're such a good friend. you add so much to any outing, and you give 100% effort with everything that you do, whether it's Bigfoot related or not. And I just want to thank you again for coming on and sharing what you've been finding on this new property where you're living at.
It's what I've found. It's what I see. I'm not saying that it is anything. It's just like whenever I go out with y'all or anybody else, I try to maintain that level of skepticism. Like I said, I'm going to keep saying I don't know until I do know for a fact. But like I think there's too many people in this field, in my opinion. Don't nobody get their panties in a twist over this, but I think there's too many people in this field that make a mountain out of a molehill, and a lot of people are putting up every little thing and saying, oh, I think it's Bigfoot. And I'm one of the people that I don't think it's Bigfoot until I see other corroborating stuff that suggests that it is. And I'm as open-minded as anybody to the subject. But, I think people get carried away with the overall idea that these things are absolutely everywhere and every little thing that they see is boogers. And, like the missing 411 stuff and boogers or possibly snatching people right and left and everything. I don't feel that way. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't feel that way, but I try to remain a little bit skeptical. And, I learned a lot the very first time going out with Larry, because Larry was laughing at me whenever trees were getting pushed over and stuff was possibly getting thrown and everything. I was like, what is that? Because I'd never had that happen before. And Larry's laughing and saying, ain't it great? And I'm like, no, it ain't great. What's wrong with you? But, and Debbie's sleeping. Debbie's just like asleep. She doesn't care. And Larry's laughing. Now I'm like, all right, maybe I should, not take this stuff so seriously. And I mean, that's what I bring to the table. And I do ask a lot of questions. And a lot of times I go, I don't know.
Well, we want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I'm constantly learning from Spencer, and but more important than that I appreciate our friendship and our camaraderie. And
yes, sir, me too.
He's just, Spencer is an awesome guy. And so is Anthony. I enjoy Anthony's company. I'm glad when Anthony comes, because Anthony tickled me. He could just look at you and you'll start laughing.
Yeah,
and,
bastard.
So we're going to sign off. I'm not sure which Bat channel will be on next week. Whether if Larry's got something planned or if we'll do something here, but we will see everyone again at the same bat time. Night, footers.
Night, y'all.
If you would like to support Beast TV, check out our gear. We have coffee mugs, face masks, gaiters, shirts, and tank tops. The link is pinned at the top of the comment section. Everything is always marked down 20%. So come check out our junk.
This has been a Sawdust production.